This video is about how to draw with the pen tool. One thing you need to understand is that the objects that you make in Illustrator are vectors. It means that they're just geometry. They are indicated by a line around it and a shape. So this has a line, and the lines are made up of these, these points called anchor points, and there's a line between each one, and the computer keeps up where these anchor points are, and it draws a line between them. And lines can be straight or they can be curved. In this case, they're straight. You can use the direct selection tool to move points like this, and notice they stay as corners no matter where you put them. But they can also be curves. The way you do that is with the tools that come in this set. If you put your cursor on the pen tool and do a double tap, you can get this palette. If you touch this part here, the palette comes out and you have 4 more tools. This tool is called the anchor point tool, and when you have it selected and you touch an anchor here and click and drag on it, you can turn it into a curve. You can turn them all into curves. Okay, and then notice that curves are defined by this, not just the anchor point, but it has handles sticking out of them. The handles are straight. Well, you can take, if you click using this tool on a handle, it changes it back into a corner, but it's a corner on this side, but it's still a curve on this side. So it can be corners. If you click on a corner, on an anchor, it makes it back into a corner. If you click and drag on it, it makes it back into a curve. And if you click on one of these handles, it changes it to half corner and half curve. Okay, so that's important to know. It does all of those things. And let's change these again. They're corners and they're curves, or you can click and drag a handle and it can change that. If I put down the Option key, I can change it to anything I want, whether it's a curve going one way, a curve going the other, or a corner on one side and a curve on the other wherever I want it. So any shape can be made using all of these collections of tools and different aspects of what the vector anchor can do. All right, now let's look at this tool. This is the pen tool. This is the main thing that you draw with Illustrator when you want to do something technical. Now you can draw with a pencil, and the pencil is just you make a line like this and it turns it into vectors as soon as you let go. And this can be edited. If you click on it with the anchor point tool, direct selection tool, you can move these things around wherever you want. So if you were tracing something and you wanted to get it exactly where you wanted it, you could put it exactly using these tools, handles and anchor points, moving them where you want to get them exactly the shape you want. But the pen tool works this way. When you click, it makes a point. And then when you move it away from that point, it puts a straight line, made of blue, and you click another point, it sets a new point wherever you click it. And wherever you click it, click, 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 like this, it makes corners. Clicking makes corners. But if you wanted to make curves, you click and drag. And the amount or distance that you drag the cursor affects how long these handles are, and the length of the handle is related to how much of a curve there is, how steep the curve is, or how sharp the curve is. And then whether you make something as a curve or as corners, you're always able to afterwards come back and edit it and put anything where you want it if you happen to be tracing something or wanting to get a particular shape. Let's give an example. Like if you were going to make the letter E, like it's going to be a straight line here. So, but it snaps to straightness. Like if you put it close to being straight, it sort of snaps there. And if you let go, and then I want to make a straight line down, it snaps there too. If I hold down the shift key, it will automatically do the only options are straightness. And notice it tells me when the cursor is just below that other anchor point. Each one of these is a click there. Okay, so there's the letter E. If I want to, say, lengthen all of these in all the same, if I want to, I can select more than one anchor point at a time, either by using the shift key, and every time I click one, it's selected. Notice it fills in solid. Normally an anchor point is hollow, and then it becomes solid when it's selected. Or I can just click and drag and create a selection outline around just the ones I want. Say I wanted to take these and stretch them out, or push them back. You can stretch these out, and I can go back in and select those and move these in if I so choose. I'm holding down the shift key to constrain it to horizontal. If I can move it this way or this way without the shift key down, but if holding the shift key down constrains it. In this case, because I want it to be an E, I want it, level horizontal lines. Okay, so that's how you draw something with the anchor point, if the anchor tool or the pen tool, and with straight lines, with corners. But what if you want to do a lowercase e? Then that has curves, and I know it's circular. So I'll make this long. I'll click and drag so as to make the handles go out a long way, and then I'll put this over here, and it tells me where the line would be if I were to click it. But I want it to be, this part to be level with that one. It tells me exactly when I'm level with the first one, and I click and drag that one, and then I have something like a semicircle, and it changes from being a semicircle to not being a semicircle depending on whether this is straight up and down. Well, like if I hold the shift key down, it makes it straight up and down, and I can make it about the same height as the other one. Then I have something that's kind of like a semicircle. Okay, so I want it to turn the corner, and if by default it's not going to make a corner, it's going to make a curve. So I have to use the option key. If you keep your left hand where the option button is, and the command button and the shift button, so that you can always change, modify things. I'm going to click and drag. Actually, so just click, so as to so that wherever I put this is going to be a straight line. And then I'm going to hold down the option key to make it into a curve going down. And hold down the option. The option key is just used all the time here. Click there, and I want to make it curve that way, so I'll hold the option key and click and drag. And click on that hand. Whoops, I missed it. Undo. Click and drag. There it is. Notice the cursor changed when the point was right over the handle. Okay, this isn't exactly what I want. It's not exactly the shape, so I can edit it. I can make that one go out this way and this one go out that way. I could match this curve a little bit. I can move this down. I can move, wherever I see it needs to be changed, I can move it. I can even click on the line itself and move both at the same time. I want this, if I grab a line, I can move this. See, it's starting to look closer and closer to what you might think of as an E looking line. Okay, I need to make a hole in it here. There has to be an opening right there. So use the pen tool. I'll put it here is a click, and then another click here, and then it's going to curve upwards. So I hold down the Option key and click and drag from that point about that direction. And then I move this over here and click on this with the Option key held down. Well, that was pretty successful. I can edit it and move this. I think it might be need to be a little closer to the right. But it seems to jump. It doesn't want to go a little bit. I want it to a little bit, but it jumps. So I can just use the arrow thing. And if I touch the arrow key, notice each increment is a very small increment. Maybe this can be adjusted. Okay, so this is basically what the E should look like. But it's two shapes. If I were to fill these in, you know, this one would be a solid thing, and this one would be a solid thing, and it's not really a hole. But if I click and drag here and select both of them and use the Pathfinder tool and click there, it actually makes a hole. So now it's an opening in here. If I put it there, you can see that E through it. Okay, and I don't like this, this is kind of flat right there. So if I were going to continue adjusting it, I would move the points around to get it changed just to the way I wanted it. All right, so that's just drawing something. What about tracing something? So here's an Apple logo. If you look at it really close, it's not a vector. This came from the internet. It's made up of pixels, and I copied and pasted it here. So this is not a vector graphic. You know, it's a high resolution image, but it's still not a vector. And if I want to turn it into a vector, I would have to trace it. So I can use this. It's a very simple, line around a thing. So how could we make this shape using the pen tool? If you click and drag and move it sort of in the direction that this curve is going to go, and you move this over here and click on that point and move that like that, well, that's basically it. It's not quite it, but it's close. Well, if I hold down the Option key and click and drag here and move this over here, click and drag, that's pretty close. It's not exactly on it, but maybe if I make this one go this way here and this one go, missed it, there. Maybe it'd be easier if I were looking at it with a line rather than as a solid. I'll make it a thin line. Once you get some experience and you can sort of guess how much these things need to go. This is probably symmetrical, so that these two anchor points or anchor point handles should be about the same to make this shape. For the rest of the apple, I would start at a corner here. Click there and do this. Click there and do that. Still not following it perfectly, but I'll come back and adjust it. There, that's closer. I'm going to use the Option key down here to make this corner go that way. Option key again to make that a corner. So it's not there. It still needs adjusting, but that's okay. Maybe this point needed to be there instead. I can move the handles around until I get it to where I want it. And if something is stubborn and it's not giving me exactly where I can't get it where I want it, well, maybe it needed another one. So you can use the add anchor point and put a point there and move this to where I want it there. So that works better. I might need another one over there. Maybe this one should be here. Oops. When you get close to the edge, it wants to scroll. And you just work with it till you get it, you know, where you want it. Sometimes these, you get it right on the first try, and sometimes it takes some extra work. Okay, well, let's suppose that we had that right. If you click them both and change this around, you have a solid, and then you have a tracing of it. And if, you know, you can see by this edge, it's not perfect. But I could, if I were to work on it some more, I could get it much closer than that. But that's how you use the anchor point tool.